Hello everyone, today a very interesting video awaits you. I would like to ask you to support this video by liking and subscribing to the channel. Enjoy watching everyone. The story begins with some guy who was covered in blood. It looks like he was fighting some kind of battle. The main character's name is Hong Kong Chi and he protects his friend from someone very powerful judging by their condition. Yes, he fought a very big and evil monster, he even had claws on his chest. The monster fought Hong Kong Chi and taunted him, calling him trash. He wanted to crush him, but Han didn't give up and stood up again and again. He by no means agreed with the monster and was very angry. The hero gathered all his strength into his fist and hit the monster. The guy just wanted to be number one at least in something. He was such a student at school, learning was difficult for him. Also was very bad at any kind of sport. And even in computer games, he was not good at anything. Nothing was going right for him anywhere, he had almost lost hope, because he had no skill in anything. They say that everyone has some natural talent, but for some reason he did not have it. He wanted to be better at least in something. While Khan was leaving school, someone suddenly called him on the street. He was called by two thugs. At first glance, they seemed quite kind. One of them said that the boy had some special energy and offered him some kind of call. These two turned out to be ordinary robbers who wanted to rob the boy. They demanded money, because what they did for him should be paid for. The boy was threatened that they would beat him. But Khan had no money. One of the thugs asked only for his fate, as it were, the price for the good that would come to him, and the boy offered to reduce the price. The other man did not like that he was asking for a low price, because then he would not get his share. Khan had little money, so he demanded less. And they began to quarrel because they could not decide who should get Khan's money. While the two were arguing, the boy quietly left, but he was noticed. Khan began to apologize and those two fools were already very angry. One of them hit the defenseless boy and again demanded money from him. The boy started screaming in pain. To somehow defend himself, he clenched his fist and hit somewhere. He was very lucky that he hit one of the thugs, but what power he has. That fool probably flew 5 meters away. He lay and did not move, as if he had been cut down. Another thug attacked. Our main character was not confused and immediately hit him too. Khan was just shocked how he put those two healthy men down. Suddenly, he had such an unexpected strength. With her, he will definitely be able to become the best. After some time, our main character was going somewhere with his friend. As soon as he told him this incredible story, how he learned about his power. But the main character's friend was not impressed, because he saw no benefit from physical abilities. Where can one become the best with such a talent? The boy did not understand, but Khan was not going to give up. His friend believed that there are only two fields in which a student can use his physical abilities. This is a sport through which you can bring glory to your country, but for this you need a coach and investors who will give money to you and your sport. Or becoming a soldier or a policeman, this job would guarantee stability, but the competition for it is very high. Khan had no money and no aptitude for learning, so a friend advised him to give up. And in addition, at least some experience is needed, and Khan did not have it at all. Comrade Khan mentioned another option where his power might be needed without training and a lot of money. A member of a gang organization. It will be necessary to serve the boss of the organization and carry out all his orders. The boss was surprised when he saw Khan in his organization, because he was still a schoolboy, but he had already made up his mind to become number one in the gangster world, so he joined their organization. The boss asked the boy if he was ready for this job, because they break the law, kill and do a lot of illegal things. In the yard in front of the building stood the police, who came to arrest the boss of the organization, and they could not dare to enter the building, because this organization was the most influential and they could not be caught so easily, but it is not so easy to forgive them for all their evil deeds and they dared to enter. They had already entered and were prepared for the worst. However, they were surprised. The boss of the gang and all his subordinates lay beaten on the floor. It was a sunny day. Our hero came to a park where sakura blossomed. The park was like a living island among all the skyscrapers that were around it. The guy came to meet someone. He sat down on the bench, gave a sign that he had come and waited patiently. Suddenly, a man jumped out of the bushes near the bench where he was sitting. He called the boy my baby. So this was the man the boy was waiting for. He looked like a homeless person, but at the same time he was very handsome. The man greeted Khan and asked him what had happened. Khan wanted the man to send him to the academy, and the man just laughed because he had nothing, no money, no abilities, and he didn't even know what abilities were or how to use them. It seems that these two beautiful ladies noticed that handsome man and were simply mesmerized by his beauty. The man was not impressed because he was already used to such a reaction from people. Since he was homeless, those ladies gave him some money. It seems they were also acquaintances. The man turned out to be the father of the main character, and he knew that his son wanted to become the best in something. Although he had such a chance to do so in his studies, the father already thought that his son had decided to give up on finding his talent. But the friend of Khan who gave him advice said about his talent that the most important thing, experience, would be insufficient for the talent itself, and Khan did not have that. At first, his father offered him to eat something sweet, so that he would not want to go to the academy, but Khan insisted. His father still said that talent is a very valuable thing, which is given only once in a lifetime and which should be highly valued. His father was very proud of his beauty, and therefore, having such a beautiful face, he lived the best among the homeless. He thought everyone envied his unparalleled beauty. Suddenly, two very angry men dressed in expensive suits appeared on the horizon not far from the father and son. They were looking for someone who took their money. Khan was about to leave, but his father stopped him and handed him a letter. The boy told him to throw out his own trash, but it wasn't trash, it was a gift to his son from his father. If he goes to the place written on the letter, he will definitely be able to find someone who will help him with his power. But how did Dad know about his strength? He didn't really answer, rather talked some secrets and ran away after wishing him luck. The guy was just shocked by what was written in the letter. It said that they just needed a person with strength to work as an intern hero. Khan could not believe it, because he was sure that he needed experience or education, but it seems that Dad found him just the option he needs. Han couldn't wait to fulfill his dream, so he immediately got to work and went to find a way to them. Khan followed the map and finally reached the place of his new job. He was standing in front of the entrance to the building about to enter it. When the boy was already entering the building, it turned out that he was not the only one who went to this job as a hero. Another guy checked the map to see if he had come to the right place because the place didn't look good. He thought that if this is a company that hires people, then it will be in a better place, and not just in an apartment building. He probably didn't come there after all. He saw the sign and was sure his new job was here. On the sign was the name of the company and the office where it was located. The guy almost put up with it and went into the building, because it was necessary to at least check this work. The elevator in which he was riding was simply full of people. Moreover, they did not shut up, but talked to each other all the time for the entire elevator. Finally, all the people left and it immediately became quieter and more spacious. While he was standing in the elevator, the boy realized that a company with such low requirements for employees could not work anywhere except in such poor areas as this one. On Dae Yun took this job because it was the only one where his documents were accepted and he had no choice to go to another one. His parents kept telling him that at 30 he still didn't have a job, so he wanted to at least try. The guy pulled away and looked in the mirror for a while with his finger in his nose, because he thought he was alone in the elevator, but no. A pretty girl in a white zip hoodie was standing by the exit, looking straight at him with a very shocked face. He immediately took out his finger, but it was already too late for her to see this shame. She must have entered while the boy was flying somewhere in his thoughts and did not notice how she entered. She went out. Anna thought that she would be in a bad mood, probably because of him. she was not in a good mood, but it didn't matter, because he was already on his way to the interview for his new job. He was met by a girl. She introduced herself as Kim Ta-and she worked in the first department of Heroes and worked with documents. She was lucky because she was looking for him. And was a little embarrassed. The girl was very beautiful. She had elf-like ears, blue eyes, and was very cute. Kim was very glad that Han came, because their company had not had new employees for 12 years, probably because of the location of their office, but Kim did not think about it. Due to the absence of competitors, Han thought that he would be accepted automatically, but it seems that today he was unlucky not only in the elevator. Kim asked him to sit next to another candidate. He was just shocked, of course not only by the competition, but also by his age, because it was Han, who was in high school. There were two of them and they were just silent. Han was sitting, and stood like a pillar and did not move. And sat and mentally complained that he had a competitor and also a high school student who ignored him. The boy thought that Han was simply ill-mannered and arrogant. After a while, Han broke the uncomfortable silence and greeted the neighbor sitting next to him. The boy showed some kindness in his words, saying that they would be going through this interview together and told them to try. And agreed with him, and after these words of the boy he changed his opinion about Han. After all, he is not that bad. Finally, Kim peeked out from her office and invited them both inside. They were sitting in a small office of 4. Han was surprised that it was Kim who was conducting the interview. This meant in his opinion that their company was even smaller than it seemed. A guy was sitting next to Kim. He was silent, he had red hair and a tattoo near his eye, which was even a little scary. He must have been an interviewer, thought Han. First they started the interview with Han. He was very scared. Kim told almost everything that was written in those letters about Han. He did not have a very good life, he only worked part-time all the time, was second in school and served in the army. Han definitely did not expect that she would even look at his grades. Besides, the letter said that education was not necessary. Kim asked questions like why do they have a Category 2 driver's license and the like. Han was a little embarrassed in front of Han. The blue-eyed elf was just about to ask Han a question when she was suddenly interrupted. It was a man with a tattoo on his eye. His name was Kim Hwa-ran. He was also called Flame Warrior. He was the head of the department and he didn't like the questions because they were too boring. So he decided to go straight to the most important, and the main criterion in their work of heroes. He simply asked the boys if they were strong. And was a little shocked, because the man was silent all the time, and then suddenly he spoke, probably the senior in this company, and it turned out that the man's left eye was black. The boy decided that it was a lens. Khan was not at all surprised by this man, so he answered briefly and confidently that he had power. The warrior immediately answered the boy that he was accepted. Han was even more shocked because he did not understand what had just happened. Master, as Kim called the man, stood up and announced to everyone that their interview was over. Before leaving, Kim asked the boys to wait for them for a while and not to go anywhere. In the corridor, Kim told the master that it is not so easy to hire new heroes, but the master did not agree with her, because he believed the boy that he was strong, but Kim thought that he was joking. Kim believed that the novices who were accepted into the hero must first pass 12 different tests for physical strength and also for mental strength. This was the order of the main headquarters, and the two who were accepted by the master would not be accepted by the headquarters, so the interview had to be continued. At first the master agreed with Kim, but then he offered her his own version. He threw her some yellow card with something like a bird drawn on it. So the master ordered Han and An to be sent to the yellow. Kim disagreed with the master, but he was in a bad mood because he had been preparing all night for the seminar and he wouldn't argue with her. The flame warrior just turned around and walked away without spilling Kim's choice, so the boys were still hired as heroes. The master's plan was that if the boys coped with the work, then the headquarters would definitely accept them. It was an almost perfect plan. Kim got angry and raised her voice at the senior, said that this is not a joke, he can't just accept them without tests and even then send them to the yellow, they can die. Suddenly the master's face changed, he had a crazy smile on his face. He did not accept Kim's claims. Kim panicked when she saw the expression on his face and immediately fell silent as if she hadn't said anything, while the master just smiled happily. Finally, he told the girl to warn Peng soon just in case. Kim did not understand whether the master was up to something good or bad. The boys were told that their job was to exterminate thieves. An was just in shock, and Han just had a serious expression on his face as if he was ready for any job. An began to express his indignation at the fact that they were being sent on assignment immediately after the interview. The guy needed a job, but he began to think that this is not a company that needs heroes, but an illegal gang that recruits strong people for its illegal plans, so he decided to leave. And told the man who was listening to everything he said that tomorrow they will sign contracts, get 4 basic insurances and have a salary of 3,200 per year, not including job bonuses. Hearing this, the boy immediately agreed and forgot everything he had said before. The man brought the boys to a room full of boxes. He took out several of them and gave them to the boys, and they, in turn, began to put on the suits that were in the boxes. The suits were all in a dustbin, but they fit the size. Han was wearing a black suit and the belt was missing, so he reported it, and it turned out the belt was missing. The boy was given braces for his uniform and he looked like a plumber. Next, the new heroes were given laser pistols, which are quite dangerous for people, so they should be careful. And didn't believe that they were real, but he didn't start checking and probably wouldn't have been able to do it right away, because they had to buy more batteries. After they were put on and given weapons, they were sent on a mission. They went outside, but they didn't know where to go next because no one told them where their first task would be. Suddenly, An received a message on his phone. It was from the company. In the notification, they wrote where to go and what to do to complete the task or if a problem arises. An looked at the thief who needed to be caught and recognized someone. The thief turned out to be a pink bear named Chip. This cute bear was a YouTuber that An sometimes watched and had an audience of 2 million. The guys had to catch such a famous bear, but what did he do? The first goal of the guys was in the famous park of Korea, Sodok-gu Narumi, and the problem was that the heroes had to walk there for about 1.5 hours. Unfortunately, Han didn't have money for a taxi or a bus. It's good that An had some money. The taxi driver was interested in the outfit of the boys. He thought they were artists, but they didn't know what to answer, so they just agreed. And he was a little sad. He did not understand what he was doing in such unusual clothes at the age of 30. He was sorry for his life. Han supported his partner and asked him not to cry, but An was not upset enough to cry and took offense at Khan for such words. He scolded the boy that at his age he should still study and not work. Han told the truth about not being strong in studies, but somehow An didn't fully understand his words, but Han continued and said that he wanted to become the best. An still didn't understand exactly what Khan meant. He thought the guy wanted to become some kind of boss or something. Khan said that he wants to become the best in something and to be known by absolutely everyone. He was ready to go to his goal at absolutely any cost. The atmosphere in the car suddenly became very awkward, and thought that his partner was as stupid as a high school student. According to Anna, the behavior of our main character was simply childish and not normal. It was a really beautiful park around the lake. There were many different cars with different suites in the park. Thanks to An, the heroes got to the park much faster and Khan was very grateful to his partner for paying for the taxi. Anna had a new motivation to complete their first task, a large taxi bill. The boy needed money because he had almost no money left. Our heroes noticed that there was a festival in the park. It looked quite fun. They were looking for Chip the bear, but because of the large number of people, it was not easy, although An saw a crowd of people who were having fun and looking at the scene, and he also became interested. The crowd was so dense and large that the boy could not see the stage. When the hero still examined the scene, he saw the one they were looking for. Chip was a big teddy bear who danced and sang on stage. This bear was liked by all children and even many adults. they were simply delighted with him. Chip performed on stage in honor of the 12-year anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations. For this the bear came from Narlik. Bear was very cheerful and kind. He thanked everyone and was very glad that all these people came to him for a performance. After the performance, a whole crowd of people waited to take pictures with him. He even supported one of the girls in her dream of becoming a pilot. She was extremely happy to meet him. Our heroes were the last in line for the photo shoot. They just waited to meet Chip and took a picture with him first. Chip thought these heroes were a training team, so he praised them for a job well done and told them they were free. On denied Chip's words and introduced himself as the trainee heroes. Then he politely asked if it was possible to destroy the bear. As it turned out, he was very happy that the heroes finally came to him. He was a secret agent for the heroes and he had to give some items to the novice heroes. And was surprised because he thought that Chip should be destroyed, but it turned out that this was not so. Chip asked the producer if he was already free and it turned out that he was, so he invited the heroes to the place where their secret items are. The boys asked what kind of secret objects these were, but Chip said that it was a secret and soon they would find out everything themselves. They just had to get to them because he hid them so that no one would find them on the way. Chip praised the heroes and said that they are good and he likes them very much. Finally they reached the place where he hid the objects. They turned out to be garbage cans. The bear thought that surely no one would find them there. One of the heroes agreed with him. On looked carefully for those items in the trash but found nothing but trash. Suddenly the hero was hit by a bear, and did not expect such a blow at all. The blow was so strong that the hero flew high into the mountain. Then, without waiting for the first sight, the cute bear began to deal with another hero. The bear pushed Khan against the wall with great speed, but the boy did not lose consciousness. When Han was already at the wall, and was just lying on the floor unconscious, his neck was covered in blood. The bear had just incredible physical strength. Despite the fact that he was so cute before, now he has very big and sharp teeth, and the look became just crazy. He was very hungry, because he was restrained all day while he was at the festival in front of all the people, so the heroes saved him because he no longer needs to hold back. Han tried to get the laser pistol he was given, but Chip knocked it out of the hero's hands. The bear was very hungry, so he decided to taste the hero and put his right hand in his mouth. He enjoyed her taste while smiling and looking at the boy who had almost fainted. But suddenly the bear saw something below. Khan did not faint, on the contrary, he seemed to find the strength for this blow and simply punched the bear with all his might. The bear definitely did not expect this and immediately flew away from the boy for several meters. The hero himself stood on his feet after this blow, although his right hand was bitten off and blood was just pouring out of it. Unfortunately, this blow did not cause much damage to the bear. It only got angrier and hit the hero in response, and he flew away and stopped fighting. The bear wanted to play with the boy, but he got angry and decided to eat him all at once. He was already running at the boy with his mouth open, and suddenly someone stopped him by touching the bear's fang with an object, after which he simply stopped in place. The man who stopped Chip had long hair and a black cloak, and he was as calm and indifferent to the monster standing in front of him as possible. The hero just stood there and held his fan on the monster's teeth, and he couldn't even move. The bear did not know this man, but he waited for the moment and still jumped away from that hero. The beast was very angry and even a little frightened by his power, so he asked the man who he was. This man's name was Yen Peng. He was the captain of the first division of heroes, and he was also called the Wind Elf. The captain simply had unparalleled strength that was very different from the strength of those two of our heroes. The bear, realizing that the hero was much stronger than him, remembered and dared to talk about some kind of peace treaty between Narlik and the people. Yen was amazed that after what Chip did to the boys he suddenly remembered some kind of peace treaty, but he still didn't care about the treaty because the hero would have killed him anyway. Suddenly the bear, as if paralyzed with fear, jumped high and very quickly up the mountain. Chip jumped to the roof of a nearby building and ran away because he saw a tattoo with tigers on the left hand of that hero, which meant that he was one of the same and the bear had no chance of surviving in a battle against him at all. Chip ran as fast as he could, but Yen quickly caught up to him, stopped him, and threw him down to the boys. Chip was lying all beaten and begged not to be killed. He made excuses that the boys attacked first. He was just scared and he was ready to even surrender just to survive. Yen did not understand why he surrendered, because he will kill him anyway and no one will re-educate him as he thinks. The hero started to attack and Chip couldn't do anything, not even just dodge the attack. Yen was angry so he attacked him with stage 2 airflow. The bear called for help as if someone would help him. An lay still and did not move, but he was conscious and saw how Yen attacked the monster. The monster flew a few meters away from the impact and was already bleeding. Chip was powerless and couldn't hold back his real account anymore. He didn't transform into him because if that happened he wouldn't be able to transform back into the account of the cute pink bear that everyone loves so much. The bear began to transform, and the hero was a little surprised by such a sudden change in his opponent. The bear became much larger and stronger than it was in its true yellow craft monster form. Yen finally waited for his true form and when it appeared he was only happy. Now that Chip was in this form, he was sure that he was invincible. It was better to surrender to the hero. Although the monster had transformed, Han's blow still remained on it. The place of the impact seemed to be on fire, and he did not attach any importance to it. While Chip was examining his wound, the hero approached him and when he noticed him, he immediately hit Yen. The bear missed. The hero managed to jump back and, judging by his stance, it was not difficult for him at all. The bear threatened that now the end of the hero would come, he would tear him to pieces and, even if he could not defeat him, he would take him with him to hell, but for Yen these were just empty words because he was already preparing for a decisive attack. The bear started to attack first and was already ready to kill him with one hit and he was slow. Yen had already used his 6th stage wind flow technique and delivered his final blow. In an instant, the huge monster was simply torn into small pieces. The hero stood calmly as before the attack, not paying attention to the pieces of the bear falling from the sky. The hero who saved the boys approached the assistant and asked her what condition Khan was in. The assistant reported that his condition is not stable, but he has already passed the worst on the hand that was torn off and cell regeneration was already taking place. It was difficult for Han, but he held on with all his strength, because with such a large loss of blood, he would have easily died if help did not come in time. Then, when the bear revealed its essence to the boys, the captain of the heroes, Yen, was already watching over them, and at first it seemed to him that Han was an ordinary boy. But when Khan's hand was bitten off, some unknown force came to him. Thanks to this power, he was able to repulse the opponent. Unfortunately, that power was not enough to finish him off. The captain wanted to see if the boy really had that power, so he asked Kim if there was another craft nearby. Kim didn't find it right away, but a little far from their place there was another craft that was already green, not yellow. This craft had already been in a state of change for 5 hours. It was half monster, and that craft was in the jurisdiction of Hero Division 2. Yen asked not to give that monster to another station. The captain asked Kim how long the hand regeneration would take. She answered about 20 minutes but did not understand what the captain wanted to do. With a slightly crazy smile on his face, Yen explained that he wanted to see if there was anything interesting about this newbie or if he was just like everyone else. The captain and Khan arrived at the place where the green craft monster was. The boy was still unconscious, but someone was already waking him up and the captain was not around. Khan was startled because right above his head was a large, toothy, lizard-like monster. He congratulated the boy on awakening, and was amazed that he had found a hero and not the other way around. The monster, having received new powers, wanted to test them and therefore killed people who mocked him, but having such powers, he got a little too excited and killed more than he wanted at first, so he waited for the hero to test his powers better. He was surprised that the hero just lay and slept in the place where the corpses lay. In addition, he had a note on his chest on which he wished death to the monsters. The monster didn't know if the boy thought he was strong or just underestimated him, but he was so angry at the contempt, Han didn't even have time to look at the note as the monster was already attacking him. The boy barely managed to dodge his blow. Han did not understand what was happening because he remembered exactly how Chip had bitten off his hand. The hero's hand was already whole and undamaged, as if no one had eaten it. The monster did not wait and continued to attack the hero. 10. Han managed to dodge the blow again. The big lizard still grabbed the boy by the head. It seemed to him that the hero was very weak and would not defeat him. Han mustered what strength he had and hit the monster, and it was a weak blow. After such a weak blow, the monster was only angry at such a weakling as Khan. The lizard slammed him to the ground and continued to beat him until he stopped moving. He was very angry that such a weak hero had been sent to him. 15. The hero was lying in blood and did not even move. While the monster thought that he was very strong, and not a weak hero, Yen appeared next to him with a sad expression on his face, and the lizard did not even notice him at first. When the monster saw another hero, he was frightened by such a sudden appearance. The captain stood and thought that the strength that appeared to him in that boy was just a coincidence. The monster threatened the captain that he would kill him now and why he appeared so suddenly, but the captain saw how Khan got to his feet and the lizard also paid attention to it. Khan stood up. It was clear that he wanted to finish off the monster. The boy seemed to have accumulated some strength to deal with that lizard and began to use it to stand up. The monster was surprised that the hero survived his blows, so he gathered his strength into one hand to finish him off with one blow. Khan continued to accumulate his as yet unknown power. The monster hit Khan directly in the head and he didn't even move. He did not understand where he got such strength and how he survived the blow. Khan had almost finished building up his strength. Even in the boy's eyes one could see his strength, his intentions and desire to become the best. His eyes just burned. Khan was already swinging for a strike. The accumulation of power was complete and Khan was ready to release it. The blow was just infinitely strong and bright as if he had struck a layer of fire. The lizard didn't even have time to do anything against his blow and simply flew away from the force of the blow. The captain was so amazed by the force of the boy's blow that he stood with his mouth open and watched as the monster fell to the ground far from the boy. The green craft monster was exterminated and lay motionless with a large hole in its side. After the blow, the boy had no strength left to stand, so he fell to his knees. The captain approached him. "He hasn't seen such interesting newcomers in a long time," he said with a crazy smile on his face. Han didn't know who approached him, so he named him after a guy who looked a lot like Kim Kyung-ho. He was a rock musician with long hair. The captain was saddened and angry at the same time at such a careless comparison. Somewhere in a night place on a very bright street. In the nightclub Utopia, where everyone danced and drank and didn't think about anything. In a room from which the entire club hall could be seen and music could be heard. There was a man who had a goat instead of a human head and a woman who was the head of the club. They talked about the fact that in Utopia everyone is a partner and everyone will share the same dream and they are always sure of each other. But there was one incident that confused them. It was the case of Chip the bear who suddenly disappeared right after the festival. Because of this case their superiors had some doubts about their plan. The woman asked the man if he had ever cooked processed meat immediately, because if you start cooking it immediately after being tempted by its bright red color, what is the fastest way to try it, then you will be very disappointed. Contracted muscles and lactic acid make it impossible to prepare it properly and even the best cooks cannot cope with it, but then how can you enjoy its taste? The answer is very simple. You just have to wait. Wait until the enzymes and microorganisms destroy the hardness of the meat. Only then, and only then, will you be able to enjoy its best taste. The woman turned out to be a monster and she ordered the man to just wait and do nothing. Khan woke up, he was alarmed. He remembered how he fought with a bear and a lizard. He wondered about his hand that had been bitten off and was surprised that it had grown back and had only one scratch. He immediately understood that he was in the company for a job. The boy walked along the corridor as if looking for someone and finally noticed that someone was standing and talking. He noticed the master and his partner, who was standing bowed before the captain as if he was sorry for something. And so it was, and said that he wanted to leave his job as a hero. If he had only known that such terrible monsters and situations awaited him, he would never have accepted this job in his life. Yen was not happy with this boy's request. He was even very angry that he wasted his time on him. The boy was terrified that the master was angry. He considered the master even more terrifying than Chip. Yen told the boy to get out of there as soon as possible. He believed that he would rather let the boy die than protect him because a dead person would be more useful than him now. The master left Anna's room with a loud slam of the door, and the boy stood for some time upset with his head bowed to the floor. In the hallway, the master was met by his assistant and thanked him for the work he had done with those monsters. The captain did not care about the assistant's thanks. He ordered her to brainwash Anna and send him home. Yen was very angry that the guy who is now leaving the company was accepted by Kim, and it is because of her that they are dealing with such a weakling as him. Kim was confused by such words of the master, because she did not want to accept him without tests, so she simply apologized. The master seemed to calm down and asked how the boy he was checking was doing. Han was seriously injured, but when Kim entered his room, he was sitting up as if he was healthy. The guy said that he wants to work in the company and he will not give up his dream because of some injuries. Yen finally stopped getting angry and smiled because he knew the boy wasn't giving up. An alarmed man was running behind Kim. He was looking for the master because they had a problem, and to find out about it they had to turn on the news. The news reported that they had found the remains of the down and stuffing belonging to Chip, who went missing after the festival. The cute, pink, beloved bear was the victim of a gruesome murder, and the police had already begun an investigation to find whoever had the motive to harm Chip. Next year will be the 13th anniversary in honor of the era of peace. Those who cannot adapt are thieves. Those who engage in violence are also thieves, and those who want to destroy the world are thieves. They are all real thieves. This is what the TV news anchor simply shouted, conveying all his emotions through the screen. Kim was very excited to hear such news. The very angry master wanted to hit his assistant, but she managed to dodge. He was angry because he had such incompetent assistants that their mistakes were even shown on the news. Kim was very upset about what happened and couldn't help herself when her tears just flowed from her eyes. Suddenly, a master nicknamed the Flame Warrior entered the room. He was the one who hired Khan as a hero. He turned to Yen. Yen must have had a nervous breakdown because he was very easily angered and couldn't control his anger, so Master Kim reminded him of his hospital. Yen also said that it was Master Peng's son, that was Yen's real name, who was responsible for the consequences, not his assistants. Yen didn't like his real name and didn't want to remind Master Kim of it. If he had to, he would take his life in the process. Kim didn't understand why Peng's son was so angry and accidentally called his real name again. The master was encouraged to fight with Yen, because he asked the place where he wanted to kill him, of course if he was able to do it. Suddenly, a burly man in a suit with a beard burst into the room and interrupted the master's fight. That man was the director of the heroes, John Yul. He was in a bad mood because of the morning news, and so he yelled at the masters for acting like idiots when they have such a problem. They should be ashamed of it. Master Kim politely greeted the headmaster. Yen reacted angrily as usual to his words. The director stood and talked to Yen about the seriousness of the situation and that the monsters had a leader who had already reached the final stage of evolution. And those pieces of fluff that were found at the scene of the murder were discarded pieces of the leader. Cheon, the director, did not believe that Tanny, that was the real name of the assistant, could make a mistake, because she is the most skilled specialist of all. The director knew. he trusted her and knew that she would never make a mistake. HQ had to deal with the hype that the news had caused. There was no indication that their company was in any way involved in that murder. The government should also have forgotten about the case as soon as it made a statement about it. But whatever the situation would have been in the end, Cheon-yul undertook to take the fate of the heroes upon himself. Yen could not believe that the only reason why the director of heroes came here was to kill that bear. So Cheon couldn't fool Yun. He really didn't come to kill. This morning he heard a very interesting news from Hwarang. It was news about one very interesting and promising trainee in the Hero Academy. Master Kim confirmed the headmaster's words and said that he and Tanny carefully selected him from among the candidates. Tanny unhurriedly agreed with his untrue words. A rookie who went into battle against the Yellow Craft and survived because of it. He greatly interested the director, and because of that he rushed to him so quickly. But the director heard that he was accepted without conducting any exams or tests. Tanny agreed with him and apologized profusely for the fact that they really accepted him without tests. He got a little angry, because examiners cannot do this. There are clear rules from the headquarters, and they just ignored them. Kim said he would send the trainee to him now. The director saw Peng Sun's displeased face and thought that he was against it, but he didn't care because he was only working as a half-time hero. Peng didn't pay attention to the director calling him by his name. If Peng works part-time, then he will guide the director, because the hero did not have a job, so he had nothing to do. Peng Sun asked that the job be given to someone else, but the director reminded him of the branch master's tradition of helping the trainee. Helping the trainee is a way to show him that the master personally chose him and brought him. This tradition was maintained by the second, third and fourth branches, and it was Yen's responsibility as the first branch master to continue this tradition. Yun didn't agree with Cheon, because it wasn't him who chose him, but the team, so she had to take him away. Han was Hwarang's patient and therefore the boy depended on him. It would be irresponsible of the team to take him away from Hwarang for a long time and also not fair to the patients. Yen was furious that he had a job on his off day, but he had no choice. Han and Yen were driving in a car. The master was behind the wheel and shouted furiously that he would kill them. One day he would definitely kill them. Probably he said that about the drivers on the road. In addition, the master was angry that Han was worthless and just occupying a place in this world because he didn't even have a driver's license. Han replied that he was only a high school student, but Yen didn't even want to listen and simply told the boy to shut up, and Khan continued and asked where they were going. They were going to the clinic, where the boy had to pass a test to find out if he could become a hero in just a couple of days. It was a kind of verbal test. Even a weakling like Khan had to pass it, and when he passed it, the job would become a little difficult for him, more interesting, but that's only if he comes back alive. Master Yen had to ensure the difficulty of the test for Han, and judging by his expression, the boy must be enjoying himself. Khan asked how long it would take, as he wanted to visit some places before taking the test. The boy met his father. He was very impressed that his son got a job in such a competitive labor market. The father learned that the boy would be absent for as many as 3 days. He would pass a test that the master would give him. The father wished him luck, although it would be difficult, but he will succeed. Dad asked if the work was worth the effort. The boy looked at his regenerated hand and replied that it was normal. The father wanted to talk to the boy's master, because his son will be gone for 3 days and 4 nights. He will be worried about him, and when Dad saw the face and look of the master, he was afraid. The boy's father hid in the bushes, because Yen's eyes looked like a lone shark to him. He didn't want to cross paths with such people anymore. The boy was already going to leave, because the master definitely did not like to wait. The father once again wished his son good luck and jumped back into his bush. Yen was already angry that he had to drive the boy wherever he asked, but the boy asked to go to one more place, to one of his acquaintances. The guy came to his partner, with whom he fought against Chip, and didn't know who Khan was anymore. He didn't remember him at all, what they did and where they met. His memory was erased. Khan knew that he no longer knew him, so he simply bowed to him and thanked him. The guy immediately turned around after bowing and quickly ran to the car. and stood and did not understand what was happening. When he looked down he saw that money was lying there. It was the money for the taxi, which Yen paid for on his own so that they could get to the festival, so the boy thanked him. After the visit and thanks to his acquaintance, the boy was ready to go for testing. He turned to the master and he thought that Han wanted to go somewhere else, but he just wanted to say thank you. To thank for the time Yen saved him from the monster. Master just told him to shut up. Here is the building in which Khan will take a test to test himself. The building has a dedicated floor specially for the company of heroes. Han and the master went up to the floor of the heroes and immediately met the director of the healer heroes Lee Suk at the entrance. He was just waiting for the master and the boy. Yen greeted Lee and called him a glasses man, but he didn't pay any attention to it. He only said that it had been 12 years since Yen had last been here. The master didn't even think of coming here. He considered this place to be a garbage dump. Lee didn't expect to hear such words from someone from the first branch, and unlikely. Yen is a master. He didn't want to live like a caged beast. Lee called the master not a nice person. He hasn't changed in 12 years. Lee looked around and got to know the first trainee brought by the first branch. He had even heard something about this trainee. The healer director found it strange that such an ordinary schoolboy wanted to join the heroes, so he asked why he wanted to. He said his goal is to reach the top. Lee ordered his able-bodied assistant to lead the boy into the examination room. The assistant politely asked the boy to follow him and they left together. Immediately after that, Yen announced that he was leaving. Ta Li asked him to wait because he had one treat for him, which was a 93-year-old black tea from England, a very rare blend that could not be found anywhere in Korea, so he invited Yen to tea. Yen didn't like to drink some kind of herb, so he refused. Ta Li knew he wouldn't want to drink tea, so he brought something else, something he likes. Yen asked if with a straw, it was necessary for him. Lee also predicted it. Yen was confused by another question, what color is it? Lee took yellow and was not mistaken with his choice. They were sitting in another room enjoying their drinks. It seems that his love for the drink that Yen drinks has not changed. He believed that that drink is 10,000 times tastier than the herb that Lee drinks. Lee noticed that this was their first meeting since the beginning of the era of peace and asked how his old friend was doing. Yen was angry that Lee was calling him by his real name and threatened to kill him for it. Without answering his friend's question, Yen wondered what Lee was doing here, because it was just a silly playground made by the director and the Human Association. Yen did not understand how the man who was known by the name Derezer could stay at this site for more than 10 years. Lee did not like it. He called it ridiculous and asked to follow his words because the rules and regulations were strict there. Yen didn't expect that his jerk friend hadn't changed in 12 years. Li was surprised that the first branch brought the trainee to him, but he was even more surprised that it was Yen who brought the trainee. He believed that the captain insisted on this, not himself. Yen didn't want to come here and he didn't like that Lee was hinting at something. He brought the boy only because he was deceived by the director, and in this case these were all the reasons why Yen wanted to kill him someday. Lee was hard to fool. He knew that these were not all the reasons why he had brought Han. Khan admitted that the guy was mysterious and even seemed a little suspicious. Lee simply asked if the boy was really suspicious. Yen complained that Lee was too loud and threw an empty bottle of his drink at him. The master got up and went to the door. Lee said goodbye to him and asked him not to die, and Yen sent him away and showed him the middle finger. Yen was glad that he finally left that room and could go home to watch the TV series. Khan met the master in the corridor and asked the boy why he was here. Khan was sent home because he was disqualified. The master was simply amazed that he failed the simplest test, due to disqualification. Khan was approached by the assistant director and explained that the problem was that he did not have a basic understanding. The master and the trainee came to the headquarters and told what happened at the test. The director and Tanny were stunned and did not understand how it was that he was not even in the base. For example, Yen asked the boy how much it would be to multiply 6 by 3. He stood and thought over the multiplication table, which is studied even in smaller classes. After a while of silence, he asked to use the notebook. The master was very angry because he was so stupid and told him the correct answer himself was 18. He continued to ask him 6 by 3, 4 by 7, 2 by 9, and he could not answer any of them. 2 by 9 will be 18, Yen explained to the boy in the entire hallway. Surprised Tanny and the director did not even know what to do. They were puzzled not by the boy's knowledge of elementary school knowledge. Yen got tired of putting up with him, so he just wanted to kill him and pointed his fan at him and used the Burr Blade 2 evolution. He probably didn't hit the guy, but he knocked out one of the windows. Cheon Yul and Tanny were drinking coffee on the balcony under the sunset and talking. The director was worried about how Peng Soon was now and everything was fine with him. He calmed down and went home. The director noticed that the masters of the first branch are quite reckless and it is probably difficult for Tanya to work with them. Cheon also mentioned the new trainee. He found him mysterious. Tanny agreed with him. She was just impressed and he meant something else. Recently, when the director visited Han, he told him something intriguing and Cheon understood why Waran chose him. Ta Cheon was still a bit confused. Chip's monster class was yellow and how someone who is not a master was approved and how a trainee was able to do it. Tanny took all the blame on herself. She was the one who approved Han because she found him cute and therefore she thought that a trainee would be enough for such a monster. She sincerely apologized to the captain for letting him down. The director did not react to her words. It was still too late to scold her. What confused Tanya was that their gang's approach before was to attack the heroes either silently or outright, but this time it was different, so she was sure their approach had changed, but she didn't know why. It's probably for someone like them to break out or change. The director believed that there was some reason for such changes. He felt an icy breeze blowing. Somewhere in the dormitory 2 boys were sitting and talking about killing Chip, how one of them was very scared because the bear had all its fur torn off, and that even now in their time there are people who will stop at nothing to get what they want from those who are considered thieves. The guy who was sitting and playing on the computer said that it didn't concern him and he should do his homework better, and how dare he say that, because he himself was sitting and playing and it didn't matter to him, because he wanted to play all night. The guy with the glasses offered the other gamer a snack to recharge, and he agreed. Then the guy with glasses went further and called some guy, very rudely called him a pig with muscles and ordered to order chicken. He had not seen the guy with muscles for several hours because he had gone somewhere. The guy they were looking for sat and watched the news about Chip on his laptop. He had a photo of Chip and the boys. It looks like he wants to find them and get revenge on the bear. It was a beautiful sunny day, and lived in this building on the first floor. The guy did not work anywhere, lay on the sofa and watched funny TV shows on television. Suddenly, the boy's phone rang. He picked up to see who was calling and it was his mother, and he didn't pick up the phone to talk to her because he was very interested in the TV show. And did not live alone, but with his sister, so she came and stabbed the boy. The sister's name was Njiu. She was very angry, and the boy was standing on his knees with his face on the floor in fear. The girl scolded him for ignoring his mother's call through the TV. And pretended not to see that he was called, but his sister did not believe him because she saw everything. Due to the fact that An was unemployed, his sister often reminded him of this and said that if he does not work anywhere, then at least he should answer the phone calls, and if he misses even one more call, then he should think that he is a corpse, and obeyed and gave her honor as if she were his captain. The sister went to her room and closed the door loudly. And believed that even though she had a job, it did not give her the right to address her brother like that, and he quickly forgot about it and went to the kitchen to look for something to eat. When Njiu entered her room, she saw her torn box, which no one was supposed to touch. The boy went to the TV again and chewed potato snacks. An unexpected kick hits the boy in the back so hard that he immediately falls to the floor. The sister was very angry that her room was entered without her knowledge and the brother had a reason. She herself told him to clean up, so he did it. If he was just cleaning her room, why did he open a box of company flyers about hero work? He was just curious, because he thought that this is the company where his sister works. He thought that they were handing out these postcards. The girl explained that this is not their company, but some other company uses their name, and these postcards are a sample, and in general, what company will not pay attention to the education, age and experience of the candidates? The boy thought this postcard was very strange, but he did not understand why the company had so many samples. The sister said that their company is very serious about this matter, so it deals with it very meticulously. The angry girl went to complain to work that she had those postcards and because of them she had problems. Anna did not need to go for an interview at this company, his sister thought so. But the boy wasn't even going to join that company, because he wasn't stupid enough to follow such a suspicious questionnaire, and he wasn't so desperate to fall for such nonsense. The sister told the boy to clean the house before she came, and the boy asked her to wait so that she would give him $10 and he would go out to eat. She simply went outside with the postcards and did not answer her brother. The sister spared the usual $10 for her brother. But unexpectedly he received a message on his phone. It was $10 from his sister. The guy was very happy. When the boy remembered about the postcard, his mood deteriorated a little. He could not decide whether he should go there to settle down or it was still very strange. Enraged, Anjiu went and called the company to find out why they sent her the postcards, because she didn't even think to distribute them or be in any way connected to the jackdaws who don't have trainees. Anji was the ace beginner of the 4th branch, and the place indicated on the postcard led all the candidates to the 1st branch. The girl spoke with the company and was told to contact the 1st branch to express her complaints. She called the 1st extension, quickly and loudly said hello and introduced herself. The voice on the phone asked her to press 1 to contact them. She pressed 1 and was asked to select a service, then enter her insurance number. The number turned out to be wrong, and angrily threw the phone on the road and just went straight to their office. Meanwhile, he went to the computer club and came to a cafe to eat noodles. While he was there, he received a message about the rejection of the interview. The guy was full and left the cafe. Outside it was cold, so he hurried to leave in order to arrive before the start of his favorite program. And didn't have time to move far from the cafe when he was accidentally knocked off his feet by a stocky man. The man apologized and asked if the boy was okay, and An just shook his head a little and said he was fine. As a result of the collision, the boy's cap flew off his head, and when he picked it up, he realized that he did not remember how it was found. He thought that it was Khan who gave it to him, but how did it turn out for him? The man who ran into An again asked if he was really all right, and the guy said not to worry, he was fine. The man called the boy a very kind person, and the boy, in turn, thanked him for the compliment. It seemed to the boy that the man was quite polite and therefore he could not make any claims against him. That stranger was the same guy that his friend was looking for to order chicken, and thought that this guy is very big, he must be a bodybuilder. It was late in the evening and there was no one on the street. An watched his favorite program and called it simply great, although he has watched it several times and it still makes him smile and laugh. Suddenly the boy remembered his sister. I remembered how she said she would come earlier, but she never did. The door to the boy's house rang and he went to open it, thinking it was his drunken sister. The bell didn't stop. He already had time to bore the boy by the time he reached the door, because he didn't shut up for a second at such a late hour. When the guy opened the door, there was no one on the street. It must have been someone's joke. 50. The guy was sitting on the sofa and thought who could play him like that. While he was sitting and thinking about it, his light was turned off and he was not surprised because it was not the first time. The boy was worried that the TV was not working. He decided to call his sister. Just as he started to dial the number, someone sat next to him, someone very big because it felt like an earthquake had started. Next to him sat a man whom he had already seen somewhere. He was very big and for some reason was smiling like a madman. He recognized him as a bodybuilder who knocked him down on the street. Then, on the street, he specially touched him so that you could take a closer look and compare with the photo to make sure that this is the guy who was with Chip. The big man offered the boy to play a little game. And was frightened and did not know what to do, because the man had already stretched out his hands to grab him. Anji came to the office of the first branch and did not dare to enter it because she was afraid. She came to the office because she was angry, but when she reached it, she calmed down and was afraid to enter the office, because she thought that the heroes of the first branch would be angry and harm her, and she was also interested in why they had a broken window in the office. The girl remembered that the masters of the first branch are wind and flame. They were considered the most cruel. She was on the phone with Sunbae and told him how much she respects him, but she would like to know where he is now, but he didn't answer. She was determined, so she made a conclusion and was going to go home, looking at it more broadly than usual. These postcards will help find heroes. This was her destiny. The girl had almost moved away from the office and saw a guy go to him. This guy was Khan. She didn't know the guy and didn't know who he might be. Lights were on almost everywhere on the street except for the office of Branch 1. Han left the office with a book that would help the boy learn multiplication, thanks to which he would be able to pass at least a basic test. It was not easy for the boy to become a hero, because he had to relearn multiplication. But despite such difficulties, he thought that he was one step away from his dream. Khan remembered how a certain woman stood in the gap between the closet doors and said that she would be back soon. The little boy was sitting in the closet and did not understand what was happening. He was scared. Khan said to the sky that we should wait a little longer. Suddenly someone called Khan. He saw his partner and in front of him, who greeted him and was glad to see him. Khan walked up to him and couldn't believe that it was really his friend. Khan was glad to see him and asked if his memory had returned. An replied that he remembers everything and that is why he was waiting to see him. But the boy lied to Khan. He did not remember anything, but wanted to harm the boy and held a knife behind his back. And did not decide to kill the boy himself. He had a thread on his leg. That thread led to that stout man who appeared in Anna's house. The man showed a photo of the boy's family and a photo of him and Chip and Han at the festival. The man wanted An to show the photo of the boy who was with him the day Chip died. The boy was scared and worried about his family, so he immediately pointed at Khan. Han considered the boy a good person, so he could not imagine what An was capable of. And didn't want to kill the boy. He felt sorry for him and he had no choice. He had to protect his family. The boy attacked Khan with a knife. Suddenly, the boy's sister, who was being led by the man, appeared. She hit the man and thus stopped Anna. The girl hit him in the face, and the man flew several meters away, asked her who she was. She was angry and did not want to answer, because it was already clear that she was a hero. Anji continued to attack the man. The girl's hand had claws like some beast. The man had only scratches from her blows. He called her brave unlike her brother. The man asked to at least listen to him. She continued her attack again. Her strength and blows were like a beast. But the girl didn't want to listen to him, because he was talking some nonsense. He was a pig who uses a lazy unemployed guy to bully him, and everything else he said was nonsense that there was no point in listening to. The man did not always have time, at least, to defend himself from her blows, while he only received from her. Anji used an upward kick and it flew high into the mountain. Her strength was far greater than that of ordinary people. For some time, the man could not believe that she was really a person. Her movements were like those of a dog. The man felt like he was fighting a rabid dog, not a human, and he liked it. That's what he really wanted. Anji was told to shut his mouth because what he was saying annoyed her, but she still decided to let him talk. With her mouth open, it would be easier for her to tear it to him. Before the attack, Anji felt how he became stronger and seemed to grow several times. She had a bad feeling. But she was not afraid and jumped up the mountain to be behind him and attack him in the back. She almost bit him, but suddenly huge fangs and a mouth appeared on his back. Anji barely had time to react to dodge, but her right hand was still damaged. She did not expect such a turn. The monster became bigger. It opened its final stage of yellow craft, Big Judy. Before he thought she looked like a rabid dog, but now she looked like a puppy. Judy believed that everything had just begun, so the girl should not get too tired. Anji's brother was scared of that monster and didn't understand what was happening. He couldn't believe that his sister was a hero. That monster only became bigger and stronger. Than this boy became even scarier. It was difficult for him to think after what he saw. An wanted to protect his sister, but he didn't know how until he remembered Han.
If you have watched up to this point, then I am very grateful to you, because this is where the video ends. If it's not difficult for you, then like this video and subscribe to my channel. And if you want to continue this story, then write in the comments. Thank you all, I love you all.